I once asked Phaseus, one of the Andromedans, who has since crossed over, what was to become of us? Some of this may be a review for some of you. What was to become of us? What was going to happen to our race, to our civilization? And he just looked at me and he said, this is how we see you. Responsible freedom of self-determination, becoming truly self-confident and free, to unconditionally be responsible for oneself without being coerced to accept some higher authority. In our galaxy, the more advanced the civilizations have become in the center of the galaxy, the riffraff had to start moving out to the outskirts of the galaxy. The riffraff. It's just like Star Wars. Okay? We are in the boonies, and that's why we have some riffraff here. We're not the only planetary race that is having problems with the riffraff. Okay? But what's unique about us is that genetically we are considered, to the Andromedan race, genetic royalty. And I have been saying this since day one. We are extremely unique. And it's because of that uniqueness we have enormous strength. We have enormous capacity for emotions. We have enormous intent and drive to not only to survive, but to create. What we lack is faith in ourselves. At the end of World War II, let me put it another way. The Nazis didn't lose the war. Okay? Germany lost the war, but the Nazis were brought here and to Russia. Okay? Now, the mind technology, the mind control, the space technology, the reverse engineering, the technology that they had been given prior to the war by a small group of extraterrestrials from the star system of Aldebaran was brought here and honed and polished and combined with other technology that the Zeta 2s, the Dows, what many folks know as the Greys, all those began to complement each other. Remarkable technology. Technology we absolutely need here. I mean, the combustion engine has been obsolete for 70 years. I understand that India also is now going to experiment on wireless electricity. Hell, Tesla did that in 1902 in Colorado Springs. We know it works. Okay, but those that were funding his experiment asked him, where's the meter? And he said, well, there is none, it's free. They shut it down. Okay? The question is, well, we'll get to that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here. The question, the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, what kind of country do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want to live in? Clearly, what we're doing now doesn't work. It has run its course. We have a government that has a lot of problems. We have corruption within it, not all of it, but we clearly have corruption within it. They have sold out and have been totally compromised. They themselves don't know what to do. And their only solution is to turn the power of the military and the power of the pharmaceutical company against the American people. That's their solution. That is not okay. That's not okay. It's time for the UFO, the Exopolitics Committee, to start creating another domain of knowing. And that domain of knowing is two things. What does a holographic social structure look like? How can we live with a holographic social structure mirrored after some of the principles that our founding fathers laid, but it wasn't perfect? What could we do now And then we're not just talking about the United States. This has to be a global thing. This has to be a global movement. What does that look like? So we need to create and start groups, dialogues, talking about living in a holographic structure where all the information that is available, black op, secret, top secret, above top secret, is available to everyone. But we could just start with the information that we do have. The rest of it will come. It's going to collapse on itself because it's no good. It cannot stand on its own. And the minute we turn our focus away from them and they can't feed off our fear, it will collapse in a heartbeat. Because where focus goes, energy flows. Okay? As long as they keep you looking at it, they are using the energy of your soul, of your spirit, to feed this monstrosity. It's time to just ignore them. Turn your focus away and let's create what we really, really want. But we have to decide what that is. Along with that, I have been asked to start asking people to talk to people, you're the first to hear this, about what would it look like for you, for Earth, and we'll start with the exopolitics community. What would it look like for you to be mentored by several benevolent extraterrestrial races? What would that look like? What would we need to do to establish not only that communication, but at the same time have us feel safe with checks and balances so that they can walk their talk and we have to walk our talk. Open mentorship is our destiny. It's going to happen anyway, but we cannot wait for the government to turn itself around. It can't because it's not in control. All right? It is not in control. So, we have to turn our focus away from all that drama and figure out another way. What I want to do now is read to you what I was given way back when regarding creating a domain of knowing. This also came from Perseus. Create another domain of knowing, communicating and being. In other words, the domain of calling forth or generating your intent needs to be more distinct. Your physics, as you call it, is a good example of this calling forth. There have been men on your planet who have called forth new domains of thinking that never existed before here. They invented it. They didn't fantasize it. They didn't pretend. They literally created this new context from what you now call physics. Your humanity is strong with this kind of example. No being, however, makes the distinction that this is what they are. I would like to give you an example. Your concept of human rights wasn't so long ago that no such thing existed on your planet. It just simply didn't exist. You Terrans did not have any rights. Only the kings and the priests had their rights. But most of you Terrans do not have any rights. So you and other Terrans created human rights from nothing. You created the domain that created not only the rights to come forth, you created the language, and then you communicated it. And this communication that you gave had power because it was full of intent. It has the power not only to represent and to invoke, but it also to literally bring it into being. This is what your races need to do in order to clearly know yourselves. Now, in talking about that, let's talk about religions for a moment. The pyramidal structure of our governments primarily have come out of ancient Rome. And Rome was essentially controlled by 13 families. Okay? Those 13 families still exist today.